Thank you. All right, at approximately 6:43, we have returned to open session. Continuation of our meeting. We've now reached the point of the agenda for public input. The purpose is for public comment on matters falling within the jurisdiction of the Select Board, but not on the agenda as a specific agenda item. Public comments on agenda items will be limited to 10 minutes total and 2 minutes per person. And again, public comment is reserved for those things that are not otherwise listed on the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? I see no one in the room who would qualify. Anyone on Zoom? All right, thank you. All right, next, reports and announcements. Town Administrator's update.
Yep, thank you. So a couple of things, a couple of new contracts we've entered into. So the assessors were, over the last 3 years, 2 or 3 years, they've been kind of in survival mode, playing catch up. And we just signed our first contract that puts in place a cyclical inspection program, kind of working ahead, like to maintain the spot that where we're at. So, kudos to Terry for organizing that. So I signed that contract last week. We also, the grant we received, we did end up receiving the money from the state for our subdivision rules and regulations review, the technical assistance. So we went through the procurement process for that, selected a vendor through the planning board, and have signed the contract for that. So that what that will do is it will review our rules and regulations, who were last updated back in the 80s, I believe. So it'll go through our current land use priorities, sustainability, different safety protocols that are in effect now with modern planning, and also tie it into the master plan as it looks through our subdivision regulations. Additionally, the town hall HVAC here in Wenham and in Hamilton, Vicky National Grid hosted a municipal summit today on June 3rd, and they reached out to her knowing about the projects through the incentives we received, and asked her to do a presentation called The Tale of Two Towns, where she discussed the conversion from fossil fuels and converting into the geothermal, with both using decarbonization, energy efficiency in the project. So that's good. A little press for Wenham. So I circulated her presentation to the board just before this meeting, if you have any interest in looking at it. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you. A couple of announcements, and 2 of them are food related, so people should pay attention. Here at 6:45 on Tuesday night. So this coming Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. will be the board's first office hours as a multi-member session out in the public. Specifically, the office hours are going to be held at Vin Fromage on Main Street in Wenham from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday, again, which is the 7th. Select Board Member Cheeseman and I are doing the office hours duty that day.
How appropriate that Cheeseman's going to be at
Vin Fromage. Yes. Not Fromageman, but Cheeseman. Yes. So all are welcome to attend those office hours. And more information on that is on the website, including if anyone does wish to sign up for a particular slot, those folks will have priority, but it's not required to attend. So again, Saturday, the 7th of June at Vin Fromage for office hours featuring Select Board Member Cheeseman and myself. And then later on the agenda, we are going to be speaking again, as we did last night at the warrant hearing, about the special town meeting, which is scheduled for Monday, June 9th at 6:30, as many people are already aware. And two major items of interest on that special town meeting agenda are the Cutler School expansion, which is somewhere on Article 5, I believe, so near the beginning of the special town meeting, and 3A, which is the last item on the special town meeting agenda. I think some details are still yet to be confirmed, but for the public's information, there is likely to be food offered either inside or outside of the special town meeting prior to the beginning of the town meeting. And so folks who might be concerned about whether they or others in their family who might be attending the town meeting have a chance to eat something before it starts at 6:30. You'll be able to eat something beforehand, and so we welcome all voters to please attend so that we can have a healthy turnout at the Monday town meeting. That's it for me.
So, can I just ask, so what are we doing, Art, with the food?
I think we can have appropriate discussion point would be when we go through the planning for town meeting. We have a warrant item.
Yep.
And then we can, I think that's it's a good discussion to have because there's a lot of concerns floating around with that.
All right, Gary?
Well, congratulations to the Hamilton Wenham Regional High School graduates, class of 2025. Attended both candlelight and the graduation with some of our fellow board members, and certainly kudos to the school administration and to the class. Amazing group of young people graduating, and the musical performances that they put on, as well as the exceptional speeches given by the class officers and others who made it for quite a great ceremony, both nights, or night and the morning.
Yeah, agreed. I would just echo Gary's comments. It was a wonderful graduation. The sun came out, and it was really inspiring to hear the speeches. They were incredible. The musical performance, everything was really a wonderful day. And congratulations to all the graduates and their families. Hopefully everyone really had a good day.
I would also say that Bill Wilson did a heck of a good job on Memorial Day, telling the story about the Campbells and then actually having Campbells there. That was pretty amazing.
Yes.
Generals baseball are in the playoffs. They won their first playoff game yesterday, 3-0 against, I can't even remember who it is. And the girls lacrosse team played last night at 7. I don't know what happened, but they played Gordon. So
Great.
this is a darn good baseball team.
Yeah, hopefully they keep going and keep winning. Karen? Oh, you're muted.
I said I'm all set for right now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the graduation, so I'm extremely excited to hear that it was an amazing day for all families.
Great, thank you. That moves us on to our consent agenda. So we have a list of 20 annual town appointments, the names and positions for which are printed in the town agenda. A list of 6 public safety police appointments, and a list of 6 public safety fire appointments, again, all listed by name and position in the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I just have one amendment to make to the consent agenda.
Okay.
The parking clerk, item U under A, should be Diane Bucco, town clerk.
Okay, so noted. So with that correction, I would entertain a motion to approve items A through C in the consent agenda as printed in this evening's agenda, with the one correction that the town administrator just noted.
So moved.
Gary seconds.
All right, we'll take a roll call. Karen?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ben is yes. All right, that moves us to new business. Purpose is comment period allowing for public comment on individual items, and that will be entertained before or after the board's discussion of the agenda items at the discretion of the chair. But we move on to item D. Do you want to
Yep.
take it from there?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So the purpose of this agenda item is, although the board made a majority of its recommendations that were or the couple that were outstanding yesterday, I was not anticipating that. I wasn't sure if the board was going to need some additional time and clarification through the discussion with the FinCom, but the recommendations were made, so that's good. The only one outstanding, which I believe will remain outstanding until special town meeting, is the
3A.
the 3A, correct. Thank you.
13.
And in addition to that, gives us an opportunity to speak generally freely about the town meeting operations, special town meeting operations. The food is of concern. And also, we have the pending litigation with the state for 3A, and, any contingency planning the board wants to do or have any discussion around that should, some information become available between now and the 9th.
Well, I thought that was interesting last night. You said we can't remove Article 13. So we just kind of roll with it and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's probably interested to hear everybody's input, but I hear it's probably hard to really plan not knowing, right? Because it could be a varying degree of outcomes.
Right.
Are we posting a traditional meeting right before the meeting?
Yeah, that was actually, that's something I was gonna, if the board wants it at 5:30 or 6, the meeting starts at 6:30. I didn't know if you want to do it right before, a half hour, an hour before, to be able to get a drink of water and stuff before the meeting starts, after the board meeting, whatever. We're all here, so.
I'm not sure that we'd need much longer than a half an hour to meet. I don't know, there's a whole lot probably that we would need to say, but,
Yeah, we may not need it at all, but we might
right.
also.
So set it for 6?
Do that.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and you can do the 3A, and I have some stuff to talk about with the food. but-
Okay. Yeah, so with respect to 3A, if on Monday night we're in the same position we are now, which is probably likely, which is that our legal action regarding 3A is still unresolved, I think that people will want to know what that means. And so I think we can and should disclose something to the public about the interplay between the lawsuit and the vote. And in my mind, that information would simply be that we have filed court action seeking certain changes in how 3A and the implementing regulations are applied to Wenham. We've asked the court to agree with us on those. I think because it's all in a public document, even though we don't want to take too much time with this, we could say, here are the 5 things that we've actually asked the court to do. If the town meeting were to pass the zoning bylaw that is in front of them, that would most likely supersede the court action and what we're seeking. And maybe that's all that needs to be said. I think that people will draw their own conclusions about whether they wish to move forward with the zoning bylaw that is put in front of them, which has many, admirable characteristics to it, and has a fiscal impact study that is excellent and reliable, and people, I think, should hear about. And so people can make a judgment as to whether to go forward, notwithstanding the lawsuit, or make a judgment that they should not approve the 3A zoning bylaw that's in front of them, but instead, in order to see what happens in the lawsuit. So I think sort of laying that information out in a neutral way about, again, what the implications are, makes sense and is something that people are asking and is good information for them to have. So,
I haven't seen any signs around town like say yes on 3A.
No, no. Yeah, those aren't the signs that have been
Just
on
observe
display
it.
for a long time.
So I think it's probably important to give that information out to preempt a lot of questions, both on, as you say, the specific 5 items that we're asking for, and also perhaps we need to address what happens after a no vote, as far as what can the planning board come back with, or what that we would see as the future steps.
Right.
But isn't Ann presenting?
I think Ann does plan to present some of that. I think, and I can speak to Ann about the litigation piece, although I think...
I think the litigation piece belongs to us to explain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, so there could be a lot of different presenters, because if I speak on that, we also have the fiscal impact report that I think either Finn or Jeff is going to...
Yeah, I think Finn's gonna take first stab at
Okay.
it, and then depending on how granular the questions get,
Right.
Jeff will probably get up, and we're gonna use the one-pager that we sent to Roger. That's kind of like the presentation tool, so I mean, it has a lot of information on it, even though it's relatively short, and he can just use that to kind of walk people through.
Right.
And that tells a pretty big
Right.
story, once you understand how to read
Yeah.
it.
And then Ann will give her presentation. I'm thinking in sequence-wise, so those are the 3 components. Is there any other category, a component that the board thinks we should be presenting? Or does that sort of cover the 3 things? So I'm sort of thinking that my component about the litigation should not be last, because I think it could counteract a lot of the good substantive information that Ann and Finn would be presenting about the actual article that people are being asked to vote on. So I'm sort of thinking that probably I should give the talk that we just talked about regarding the litigation as a prelude and sort of explain that. And then hopefully the litigation, people will understand what that is. It'll kind of fade into the background. And then Ann and Finn will talk about the substance of the article, and people can make their judgments.
Makes sense.
So what was the order?
Me and Finn, I think is what it ought to be.
And you'll make sure, one of you will make sure Roger is aware, because I think last night it was...
That's what I know right
Whoops.
now,
That's okay.
the napkin here. Yeah, we're gonna amend the script to reflect that. The other things I think could probably be covered, but, like, what are the future steps? Like Gary said, it's probably gonna be like, well, what if we accept it as proposed and the court comes back with, any variation of, well, it's not an unfunded mandate, but we will give you some relief on the unit density. Do you lose, like,
Right.
I can anticipate,
Right.
knowing how to answer those questions, because I can see those coming up.
Sure. Right, and then to further complicate things, there's this issue of the sunset provision that is written into the current planning board proposal, which in its current form says that if, for example, it were to pass, but then we win our court case, that the proposal could be sunsetted or rescinded based on those changed circumstances. However, my understanding is that the sunset provision is likely to be changed by the planning board as late as its meeting on the 9th, because of guidance that has been put out by the Attorney General's office about other towns' 3A sunset provisions, which the AG has not uniformly struck down. They struck down some, and therefore have, provided some indirect guidance to us as to changes that we might want to see in that. So we have to wait to see what the planning board, how the planning board amends the sunset provision, if they do. And then that would also be, I think, on me to explain as part of these different courses of action that could happen, how the sunset provision that we're looking at that time plays into it. So stay tuned for some scintillating presentations. Are there any other items on the warrant besides 3A that any select board members wish to elaborate on? Gary?
I'll just reiterate, I think on Article 12, that with the multiple sources of funds and a lot of numbers out there, that we need someone to stand up and just say, this is a great deal, we're getting this essentially at no cost. To preclude any confusion as to what the real dollar effect is on this thing. So if someone's take that assignment.
I'm happy to do it, unless
Yeah.
you think a board member should do it. Either way is fine.
And then the other one is, of course, the Article 6 on the schools, that I would just say that for everybody out in the public, this is a momentous vote here. It's going to determine the educational standards for our children and probably grandchildren going ahead. And I think you have three decisions to make. One, do you agree that the school administration, the school building authority, architects, teachers union, concerned citizens all agree that this is the educational need and the solution that we want? That second, that you agree that both FinComs, both select boards, and the school building committee have done years of financial research and have come up with this as the best fiscal answer that will have the least effect on the budget. And that third, that I will go to town meeting at 6:30 next Monday and vote yes on Article 6 to give our children and our grandchildren the standard of education that both towns have had the reputation for the last 2 generations. And let's say yes on number 6.
Thank you. And just to, to make it clear to the public, there have been prior votes of the board and prior public statements by board members, other than Gary, that clearly show a unanimous degree of strong support by the Wenham Select Board for approval of the Cutler School expansion. So I think most people are aware of that, but it seems like a good time to make that statement again, that what Gary is saying is the expressed sentiment of, I think, each member of the board at one time or another. Any other comments on agenda items?
What about can we talk about this food thing?
Sure. So now we'll turn to more logistical issues, and Steve, maybe you can pick it up.
Yeah, so, I mean, this year, and I've only been here for 3 town meetings, but like this year, more than any other year, the board and the moderator and everybody has, really worked hard to accommodate everybody's needs. And we get feedback saying that, you're not serving the senior population, you're not serving the parents, right? So we've opened it up to, giving rides to the seniors. We've had the family room, in additional, the requests we've been receiving this last, mostly through the Bright Futures group. This most recent special town meeting has been the serving of food. So we've kind of struggled back and forth. There's real concerns from staff, adding to the confusion of the town meeting on the town meeting floor. If people are getting up and wandering in between rooms and getting food, and so ultimately what I felt like was a reasonable remedy is to allow the food outside. We'll allow the pizza outside, and Roger granted the permission, which we thought was the preferential condition, that would allow the Girl Scouts, who also requested to have a bake sale, could be inside, which we thought was a preferential location, and the sales would have to conclude at the start of the meeting at 6:30. so that it wouldn't interrupt anybody trying to pay attention, or, you know, we don't, I don't know how impactful, how interrupting it would be, but, you know, again, and so that's kind of what we've put in place. The pizza would be somewhere across the parking lot, somewhat out of the way, and it would, you know, be minimally impactful. Roger was okay with it. He doesn't, his jurisdiction doesn't really extend outside except for the, any impact to the flow of residents in the entryway, so he felt that was, so that's kind of what I had proposed today. However, you know, Karen, I know you have some concerns around it, and, you know, hopefully you can share those tonight, and, you know, I just want some feedback from the board to see if this is what the board wants to have happen, because I think ultimately, you know, your opinions would be weighted heavily, but, you know.
So are we gonna have people actually walking in with pizza in their hands?
I mean, it's not disallowed, you know, so likely yes.
Can't people be told to not bring it in, have like trash receptacles
We could.
at the entranceway?
And the concern that I had when we did talk about that is, like, then a person at the front door would be responsible for policing it. So if, you know, hypothetically, you know, if somebody buys a sample slice of pizza with their kid and they bring it inside, and you're like, oh, you can't bring it in.
I don't
We
wanna be
just
a
bought
fool.
it. The article's just starting. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a perfect solution. We've tried to kind of work with everybody to get everybody's needs met. That's why, you know, I'm willing to say no food at all in its entirety, but, you know, whatever the board wants.
In my humble opinion, no on the pizza, and yes on the Girl Scout bake sale beforehand.
I think what you've proposed sounds eminently reasonable to me. And my understanding is, in the past, there did used to be food served at town meeting, so I don't know, I mean,
Is that true, Gary?
Yeah, so certainly there's a long tradition of meals. The lunch was served, and then sit down, then that concluded, and then you went on to town meeting. And then COVID kind of ended that quite abruptly.
Right.
It hasn't come back. But, you know, I see little interference between the food and the conduct of the meeting, knowing that Roger drives such a straightforward meeting, so
Right.
it's,
Yeah, the VIS for years served lunch the hour before the town meeting in Bucher. And I think it ended at COVID.
From a Girl Scout perspective, everything was going to be prepackaged, right? So there was going to be no additional mess. You wouldn't have to be fumbling, hey, asking the person next to you, can you hold my pizza? They were going to have everything that was, a lot of it was going to be donated, so they're going to have some salad options. Everything is prepackaged. It wouldn't just be... unfortunately, it's not Girl Scout cookie time, but it wouldn't just be cookies or you know, candy. Everything is in theory going to be healthy and have waters and things like that. The concern is that the town was going to provide a tent for the group for the pizza, and it was not offered. You know, the offerings weren't the same, and so the concern is that it was. Logistically, it didn't make a lot of sense.
We could-
but the Girl
Yeah,
Scouts were
it's-
going to be inside, he just said, so why would you need a tent?
So logistically, you know, the Girl Scouts were doing it as a cute fundraiser, but also to be able to provide people with an option. You know, people are coming from home or people not come from work, and it's an awkward time, and so now you have kind of two competing. One is nonprofit, one is for profit. So it was a little strange to me that, you know, people would walk in, purchase pizza, walk in with the pizza. That's an awkward situation. And then the Girl Scouts are there, but they've already purchased everything outside. So it wasn't even offered to the Girl Scouts to put them next to them. So it just seemed a little convoluted as to what the thought process was.
Yeah, I think that this is not supposed to be a competitive food vendor situation.
Right.
I think Diane wants to come up, and you're welcome to, I think, if that's okay with the chair. But anyway, I think both are fine, but we're not trying to play one off of each other. I think that's not where this is going. The whole intent is that there is some food available for this town meeting as has been requested. I think Hamilton is doing the same thing. And I think, Karen, I'm not sure if this is a conflict of interest for you, but I'm guessing this is your Girl Scout troop, so I'm a little uncomfortable with advocating for the Girl Scouts when you're on the select board. So anyway, I'm just going to put that out there. But I think what Steve has suggested, to allow both in proximity, but not in the room, not during the meeting. I mean, people are adults. They can handle a slice of pizza or a cookie. I just think...
I mean, I'm sure if the Girl Scouts' preference is to be outside with them, I mean, I'm sure that's fine. I think that's probably, if Roger was here, he would say that would be his preference. But we thought the preferential location was inside, and that's why we put the Girl Scouts there, because the pizza also wanted to be inside, but we put them outside. And the tent was my tent from home. It was just a 10 by 10 thing that I offered because I felt bad about kicking them out and putting them outside.
It's not a matter, and I think it's just a matter of communication, because there was a lot. There was good 10 to 15 emails from lots of folks going back and forth about this. So I think it was just communication barrier. That's all.
Before we recognize Diane, Karen, what did you say about prepackaged? Did you say something about prepackaged salads?
Yeah, so they have they come in cups, or almost like a mason jar, but it'll be disposable, where you have salad options, and it wouldn't just be cookies and granola bars. You know, people could take something with them to their seat and easily eat that right there.
Okay.
If you've ever seen them, it's like I have something it's like a mason jar, right? So you have this little salad and the forks on top, so it's very easy to eat.
Okay. So I thought that we were going to cut off the purchasing of food and the eating of food before the town meeting started. But it sounds like if the Girl Scouts are inside selling, whether it's salads in a cup or paste or cookies, that there may be some people that take those things to their seat, and I'm not sure that there's much we can do about that. I think on the pizza, given that it's outside, if people are encouraged not to bring the pizza inside, I think most will do that. And from my overall perspective,
yeah, I mean, this is one of those things, it's ever evolving. This is the first time I've heard that they weren't eating at their seats. So honestly, it doesn't really matter. It was just a communication thing. Let's just try to figure out.
Karen, Ben's still talking.
So, just on the fast pace of this, I mean, I know that the details of the pizza request were sent just today, and I think Steve did a good job in trying to reconcile these things under time pressure in a way that serves as many people's interests as possible and tries to promote a higher turnout for this town meeting. So I agree with Deirdre that I don't really see a reason to change, but I know that we have folks, including our town clerk, who would like to speak on this.
Well, I'd like to speak, and I don't want to speak, but I can't not speak. So, yes.
What's your name and address?
I am Diane Bucco from 73 Topsail Road. I am your town clerk. And I'm here to remind you that you are organizing a town meeting. Town meeting is a legal, official, government, legislative body. It's not a social gathering. So, the amount of time you're talking and spending about food, trying to accommodate everybody, is, in my opinion, outside of everybody's scope. At some point, voters need to take responsibility to be involved in our democracy. I understand that open town meeting is difficult, more difficult now than it was when it was just the landholders, coming in and deciding what everything is going to happen in Wenham. We as a town cannot change the laws on open town meeting. our responsibilities are pretty much set in law. You guys put the articles on the warrant. The moderator presides over the meeting and makes sure the votes are taken properly. Your town clerk ensures that the people that are there participating are registered voters, takes the minutes for your official record. That's it. At some point, we can't bend to everybody's whim. You can only try to help to a certain point. To the food, yes, the Wenham Village Improvement Society used to have a town lunch on the Saturday before the annual town meeting. There was never any food at any special town meetings, and there were tons of special town meetings. The town luncheon was a social event, a community event that the WVIS did for the town. We served food in the extra room, the multipurpose room, because it was never used for town meetings at that time. You were not allowed to check in. If you were eating, you were not allowed to eat in the gym, period. You had food from 12 to 1, it closed down, everyone went to the meeting, it was fine. It's very different than what you're talking about today. In the past, there was also a mandate or a directive from the school department that there was no food in the gym during town meetings. You would sneak in your sandwich or whatever you would do, but there was no food, there's no eating or drinking in the gym. So here we are, 2025, trying to make everybody in the world, the modern world, come and participate, and I want everybody there. If I could have all 3,000 voters. That would be amazing. But the only thing we can do is do our job, and everybody else has to do their job. If they want to come, we want them to come, we want them to be educated, and we want everyone to participate. But doing too much for one side, that side, you're never going to appease everybody. So having food at this special town meeting, because it's dinner time and it's on a Monday and whatever it is, sounds kind of cool, would be fun. If you buy pizza outside, and of course you're bringing children, those want the family room, pizza, kids, you're coming in, you have to check in. You have to stand in line. You know everyone's coming in that 15 minutes before. You're going to be in a big line. You need to pick up a clicker and a card holding your pizza and a drink and your children. Then you have to go find your seat, stay in your seat. Don't lose your clicker, don't lose your card, because then it gets confusing on whose clicker is whose and did I lose it, where is it? These are situations that I have to worry about. If they're in the family room and they're eating and then they want to speak, we have to switch their clickers out, right? So that's more stuff I have to worry about, and it could have pizza sauce on that point. So I know it all sounds very little, and every one of these little ideas sounds great, but if we go back to what we're here to do, that's what we should really do. We should get back to our work. We want people to come in. Check-in starts at 5:30. Check in, get into your seats, start the meeting, and go. It's a big agenda. It's a big warrant. We don't want to be fooling around looking for napkins or trash or how am I going to hold my card. That's just what I wanted to bring to your attention. And the bottom line is, all we can do is our jobs. And everybody else that's a voter that wants to participate in our democracy has to take some responsibility and get there and do their thing. If they can't, they can't. That's always been an issue. You have a question?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you had a question for me. So, I'm sorry to put a damper on everything, but that was just my point of view. I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
No, I don't have questions. I have more comments. So.
Okay. Not to me, so I can sit down. No one has any questions. Thank you very much for
No,
listening.
I just have to say, I'm with her.
What time, check-in?
Check-in's
will be
at
open
5:30.
At 5:30, I see, okay.
So, one thing you can think of that I'm going to jump at is opening check-in early. We can open check-in early, but everybody's still going to try to come at 6:15.
Right,
So it doesn't matter how long I'm going to be open, so it's just still that,
right.
yeah.
If we were to go forward with the pizza outside, can we have them stop selling at 5 PM, like have them there from 4 to 5?
Yeah, so we can do anything we want.
because that would leave some time.
I'm not sure that's,
But
I
that would
mean,
work.
people can bring snacks into town meeting. There's no rule, and they did, in fact. I mean, I've seen people bring because it's a long time. And I think to expect people to not have any food whatsoever when some of these meetings are extremely long is not realistic. Whether we should provide it or not is up for debate, clearly. Diane, I think all of what you said is a fair point. It is our job to run the meeting. We certainly cannot ever appease everyone. I think we all know that. However, if there are ways to make town meeting a little bit easier for people, and it's not about this side or that side, it's everybody can eat pizza, whether you're a kid or a senior or anywhere in between, I think that that's okay. I think what you did was just convince me that there shouldn't be any food inside the building, but that if it was outside the building and people could buy it outside and largely consume it outside, but maybe they're carrying some in. I mean, people are grown-ups and they can manage their food and figure out how to pick up a clicker. I think that that's a reasonable accommodation, in my opinion.
Gary?
You want a motion? Or we're going on and on?
Right, I think we should.
The big debate.
Yeah, we should conclude this. So I think it probably is something that we should vote on, given that there's a split on the board, and Steve certainly has requested some guidance from the committee.
Well, I'll try one angle then. I move that we allow the food, both parties outside, to conclude at 6 o'clock. And to have a nice sign that says, "Don't bring food inside." And I think most will comply with that.
I'll second that.
I was with you till that last bit.
But, the sign? Okay, leave the sign out, you know. it's-
Yeah, because, I mean, there are people with medical needs
Okay,
that
all right,
you
very well.
have to have food.
Amend it to delete the sign.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a motion to permit food to be sold outside of the Bucher School by both entities that have asked to do so, and that the sales of any of that food conclude by 6 p.m. That's the motion, right? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll vote. Roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Karen?
I'm going to need to abstain on that one.
And I'm a yes. So the vote is 4-0 with one abstention. All right, thank you.
Got that
Is
done.
that better? Stop at 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously, yeah, I mean, disregarding what Deidre said about it being conflict of interest, I'm actually not the one there supporting it. The other Girl Scout troops are, and yeah, I mean, I'll talk to them, see what they can do, because I'm with you guys. I'm in the front. We have a meeting that kicks off at 6 o'clock, so I'll double check with them.
All right, moving on to agenda item E. Oh, do we need to, we don't need to make any further motions on these articles because we've already made all our recommendations. Okay.
So are there any that we have not formally voted on? 3A, right? 13 is the only one.
Yeah, my notes show only 3A is the only one outstanding
Okay. Yeah.
for the
And
select.
we'll address that.
Right. Yes.
And if anything comes up, well, like 3A
Right,
also, but if
yeah.
anything comes up between now and Monday, we will have a meeting posted, so if you can still change your recommendation,
Right.
you know,
Right.
that's just how it stands.
Right. But as of right now, each article except for Article 7 and Article 13 have received the Select Board's favorable recommendation. As you just said, Article 13, there is no recommendation at this time, and so stay tuned for town meeting. And for those that missed the warrant hearing last night, the Select Board made a recommendation with respect to Article 7 that it be referred to the Finance Committee for further study. All right, moving on to item E, discussion on Town Hall HVAC implementation. Steve?
Yep. All right, so probably 2-3 months ago now, the select board requested that I put in place a written implementation plan for the town hall HVAC project. So what you have in front of you tonight and in the packet is a draft of that. The high level is, basically, well, we met with staff a couple times. We met again yesterday and went through all the logistics, the level of comfort they are and where they'll be sitting, how we're going to service the public. And we have offered all staff to send in any concerns that they have that they would like the contractor to address. So we gathered a number of questions over the course of yesterday and today. Those questions were sent to the contractor. They'll be on site to meet with fire and building permits, and also spend some time walking the site, helping us with layout, showing us where the pipes are going to go in the basement so that we can clear an adequate path so they can access the ceiling, and also spend about an hour with staff answering the questions and anything else that comes up in conversation. So that's tomorrow, June 4th. They plan to do the layout, as I said, in the basement so we can start moving. They plan to be on site here, but materials should start being dropped off over the course of the next couple weeks. They plan on starting in the basement on the 16th. They would like to get into the first floor no later than the 30th. And at that point, we will have moved, proposing that we close Town Hall to the public on, I believe it is the 26th, which is the last business day prior to the 30th. We will remain open for email and phone call communications, but we'll use that day to basically, everything will be moved but the people's workstations. We're going to use that day to break down the workstations and move the docking stations and monitors and things like that upstairs, which will be the last pieces to go because we'll need those right up to the last minute. Set up, do any final testing. Micro support will have been in and put up all the temporary switching stations and stuff for network connections that we need. We've come up with a layout upstairs that it's detailed in here, and I'll happy to answer any questions, but we believe we'll be able to continue to provide the public with the service that they expect. I believe that the only interruption the public is going to feel is if they come in, we have a lot of residents enjoy the fact that they can come in off the street any time of day. We're open, and if they have questions, they can get information, whether it's assessing information, permitting information, financial information from the clerk's office, and just the sheer volume of physical records that we retain in everybody's office and in the basement are, it's just not, it's not possible to take them all with us and try to fit it on the first floor. So we're going to take with us what we deem to be like requirements for daily work, and we will be able to access probably once a day, once every other day through coordination with the contractor, our records that are less frequently needed, and we'll be able to get those and deliver them to the public. We are going to put signs out both in social media, but I believe more effectively is we get a lot of the similar foot traffic throughout the weeks and months is putting signs out on all the public facing counters starting next week, letting folks know that the construction project is happening. Try to plan ahead to whenever possible. Let us know. We're happy to work with you. Establish some expectations. Like we can let you know when you can expect the information, and you'll work to get it to you the next day or in a couple days. As far as staffing, due to space constraints, we are going to be on a rotating remote from work. So we're currently testing those systems, making sure that we have full connectivity at home. We are procuring a couple additional docking stations, but folks, really through the pandemic, we're pretty well situated to handle a remote capacity. So folks will have at-home workstations that reflect very similarly to their workstations here in the building. And we'll be able to forward all calls to folks that are at home that would go normally ring at their desk, will ring at home, and any voicemails will get delivered directly to their email. So I believe we've spent some time thinking about it. The goal is to minimize impact to the public. I do anticipate there will be some minor impacts like I outlined, and maybe some things that we didn't foresee happening, but the hope is the project's going to be about 4 months, and hopefully it's through the summer, and the public will be minimally impacted. With that, take any comments, feedback, concerns, open to amending the implementation plan as amended, and once it's satisfactory, I'd be looking for authorization to sign a notice to proceed to allow the contractor to officially start the project. Up until this point, they'd like to bill us for some things, but have not been able to permit that until the notice to proceed is done. So they've kind of been operating on good faith up until now.
All right.
So we need that on the 19th meeting or earlier?
The notice to proceed?
Yes. The vote?
The hope is that the vote would be for tonight.
Right.
If you're comfortable, if you're not, then we can come up with
So
something.
Are we ready for a
You
motion?
want to move it? Go ahead.
Yes.
Move to accept the town hall HVAC installation plans presented or amended, and to authorize the town administrator to sign a notice to proceed.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Karen?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ben is yes. Unanimous. Thank you. All right, item F.
What's that?
I said, good job.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
It's a lot more
Yep.
complicated than I thought.
Always is, right? Like everything in life.
So next on the agenda is to appoint some members of our board to 3 different committees of the town: the Affordable Housing Trust, the Veterans Committee, and WISH, the
I'm already on Wish.
Wenham Issues of Social Service Help. Right, it's time to renew
Rotate.
the appointments. So the annual appointments for those 3 positions.
By the way, Gary, 5013C status, we got it.
All right.
Oh, good.
It's great.
Okay. So the current select board liaisons to those committees are Gary, Affordable Housing Trust, me for Veterans Committee, and Peter for WISH. But this is up for fresh reappointments, and it doesn't preclude incumbents if that's the board's desire. But I'd open it up for comments. Why don't we, do we have any overarching comments before we get into the particulars? It looks like
I would just point out that there are no particular qualifications or pre-qualifications for any board member to be on any of these committees. So it's wide
Oh,
open.
even veterans.
Yeah, there's no requirements.
Okay, thank you. Deirdre?
So I just want to go back to a previous conversation that we had when we discussed whether we would have liaisons to all the boards, and we decided not to. And particularly Gary's argument was persuasive in not having undue influence of select board members on committees. But when we discussed these particularly, or all of them, we talked about limiting it to where it was statutorily required. And I thought that at that point we had sort of agreed, and I know there was reluctance to sort of let go of the seat on the Veterans Committee. Affordable housing, I think, is statutory. WISH, I think, is not. So we had talked about withdrawing the seat from WISH, where it's not required, and potentially veterans. So I want to bring that up again, because I think, in principle, if we've decided that we are not going to have liaisons to boards, then we shouldn't have liaisons to boards unless it's required.
And Wish is not statutory?
I don't think so.
You got the bylaw up there, Joe? Just check on those 2.
Which is not to say we're withdrawing support or anything like that. It's
Right.
just to be consistent with our policies.
probably be just a second, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you had those memorized, right?
I mean, I guess we
So-
could also postpone.
No, we should
Wait.
get this done.
All right. Well, should we talk about affordable housing? Well,
Yeah, so,
because that one is statutory.
yeah, so Affordable Housing Trust, have been on there a while. It's very well run. We have a very good group on the committee. Holly Skinner chairs it very well. The main emphasis right now is a property at 2A Dexter is being rehabilitated and will shortly become available. But, we should share the expertise and experience and shift things around if you like.
All right, are there any volunteers on the board for the Affordable Housing Trust position?
When do they meet?
They meet, Margaret coordinates the schedule, but basically it's a once-a-month meeting, usually the third, let me check the schedule, third Wednesday of the month in the evening.
I mean, I would love to do it, but I don't sadly
do it.
have bandwidth.
I'd be more than happy to do it.
Great. Okay. All right, well, we have a volunteer. Thank you, Peter, and we have a volunteer to pass the baton. Sounds like.
We
Gary's-
move that on
Sure, so we could entertain a
Move.
motion.
to appoint Peter Clay to the Affordable Housing Trust effective June 3rd, 2025.
Second?
All those in favor, Gary,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
Peter,
I'm going to abstain.
okay, Karen,
Yes.
and Ben's a yes. So 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you, Peter, for volunteering.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Michelle helped with this too, but yeah, under section bylaw 5-31, the wish, there's composition term, there shall be a Wenham Issues of Social Services and Housing Committee of minimum 5 members to be appointed by the Select Board, which committee shall include at-large members, a member of the Select Board, and members of the Fire and Police Departments and the Housing Authority.
All right, thank you for
So
looking that up.
which is,
It is, yes.
Is
So,
all right,
statutory.
I'm not going to be on Housing Authority and Wish.
okay, all right. Do we have any volunteers who wish to serve on Wish?
I can't.
It's actually very cool.
Tell us a little bit about the,
Yeah.
are the meetings as needed, or are they regular?
As needed.
Okay. Right,
And actually, typically, we don't even meet.
right,
It's just all by email.
yes.
Oh, it is?
Any volunteers to serve on Wish? I see Karen shaking her head.
I'd love to, but I've hit my ceiling.
Okay. I'd be willing to serve on Wish unless, Gary, you want to, and I think Deirdre, you just
I'm
expressed.
okay if
yeah.
you guys are able to.
Ben, they do really good stuff.
Good. No, I've heard great things about Wish pretty much since the time I moved to Wenham.
And like I said, we just got 501(c), so we should get more money.
Great. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, right. Move to appoint, sorry,
What's our
Ben Timon.
Ben.
I'm like, which one have you settled on? Oh, boy, too many meetings. Move to appoint Ben Timon to the Wish Committee effective June 30, 2025.
Second?
All right, we'll do a roll call. Karen,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Deirdre,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and yes, so 5-0 on that. And I think the consensus, it sounds like, of the board is that we will,
What's the bylaw say on veterans? Just so we don't have to do this again.
At-large members, a member of the Select Board, and members of the Fire and Police Departments and the Housing Authority.
No, that's
Veterans.
Wish
Oh, yes, sorry.
and veterans.
Veterans Committee, is it? Yeah, this one's not coming
What?
I don't see a bylaw.
No, that's right. It's just a committee charge, so we can probably drop that one.
Okay. So, given that there's no evidence that there is a statutory or town bylaw requirement for a select board representative to serve on the Veterans Committee, and given that there's a sense of the board that the policy with respect to select board liaisons or representatives committee should be only for those where there is such a requirement, we are not going to appoint a representative to the Veterans Committee, and I think we should make sure that we communicate the reasonings for that to Dean Peterson and other members of the Veterans Committee, so we can do that, so that no one misunderstands why we don't have
Exactly.
a liaison. Okay, moving on to item H, discussion and potential vote on vacation carryover from FY 2025. Steve, do you want to cover that
Yep.
one?
So this is not new. So it's kind of new, I guess, now that I say that, because the COVID rules where the select board was extending the vacation carryover was ended last year, and we brought back the bylaw, which was 1 week, and with some pushback primarily from public safety due to the scheduling complications that it makes without any vacation carryover. The select board chose to amend the personnel bylaw to allow for a 2-week carryover with select board approval. So before you have the list of folks that are officially requesting the time in front of you. Do you have I'll pull that up. So these hours have been verified by finance and reconciled as available and unused.
But the max they can carry over is 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yep.
Or 80 hours by this.
80 hours for a 40-hour, 40 for a 36.5-hour employee. It's 36.5 times 2, and for a 40, it's 40 times 2, or 80 is the max. So, because we do it by hours, because we don't work, we work it's not like it's not an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. So, like, if you take a Tuesday off, it's worth more than a Monday.
So anybody on the list exceeding the 2-week request?
No.
There you go.
Okay, entertain a motion unless anyone has any further questions or comments for Steve.
I move to approve vacation carryover from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 to be used by December 31st, 2025.
Second.
All right, we'll go to roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Ben is yes. All right, we have no old business, and we have no further new business. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved at, gotta put the glasses on,
44.
7:44.
Yes.
Second.
All right, roll call. Karen?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Deirdre?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Ben, yes. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.